And you've got to tell us up front that you're willing to listen and you're willing to think outside the box, forget what you've heard on television and mainline radio, and you got to absorb this. And the whole thing boils down to they want to institute world government. I wrote an article in 1967 for the American Mercury. It said the only way that they can implement world government is by bringing the economies of Europe and the United States and Canada down to a level where people would be forced to accept world government. And that's exactly what they're doing. And one of the main cogs was free trade, globalization, offshoring, and outsourcing. And they just ruined American industry. All the jobs are gone. People who were making $30 an hour are now making 10 or 12. And this is an ongoing project. They're still doing it. And so this is where they're headed. This is why they're doing what they're doing. They are not stupid people. They're brilliant people. But so aren't we, because we realize what they're doing, and we're trying to pass this information on. So the banks didn't do what they did because they were dumb. Fractional banking usually lends 8 to 10 times the deposit base. That's been accepted for hundreds of years. Our banking system, and in Europe as well, we're lending 30, 40, 50, and 60 times their asset base. Now, they know darn right well that was going to bankrupt them, and it did. And the American public was invited in through the Fed and through the Treasury to refinance, at least temporarily, these banks to keep them from going under. But this was all planned that way. This is the self-destruction. And I think, the Europeans have gotten wobbly on it. They're saying, gee, do we really want to do this? And it's too late. It's already underway. It can't be stopped, and that's why they're doing it.
And that's why the banks, the select inner circle, this cadre, are making record profits. The drug companies are making record profits. Everything is a scam. In their own documents, they're doing this to the world, wrecking everything, shutting off credit, hoarding the bailout money for themselves, loaning it back to state and federal governments at interest. And then Bernanke gives these speeches about, and Obama gives speeches, we talked about this yesterday, well, even if your neighbor was smoking in bed but his house catches on fire, it's his fault, but still you've got to put the house out. No, they didn't smoke in bed. They burned the house down themselves. You're looking at the guy that was smoking in bed when you're looking at Bernanke and Geithner.
Well, that's absolutely so.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, I know you keep saying protect yourself with gold, but what's going to happen for people that are middle class or have saved their whole lives? I mean, there are people that work at a gas station and live in a shack who might have $1 million in the bank. What are they going to do as the public unravels, is going bankrupt, and the government is going to openly build them up into a horde of communists, like the bankers always do, point them at the middle class and say, that's the rich man, get his money. The poor will go out and through voting and everything else, as Benjamin Franklin said, in a democracy, 51% can vote themselves somebody else's wealth. The howling mob will then rob the middle class for the elite, get nothing in the process. And then, I mean, how do we head that off?
Well, I think it's through information, and that's what we're doing on this program and others, and through the international forecaster, if you may, and that's our way of doing it. It's the only way we've got, and we're trying to reach as many people as possible. The important thing for people who are the working poor or people who are unemployed, the most important thing is, before you get unemployed, is that you start putting food and
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
I want to make it clear to the listeners here that if you're just tuning in for the first time and you're saying, what are these guys talking about? Or you've never heard anything like this before. Bob Chapman, myself, and many others didn't just start talking about the global elite and the central banks being private and we need to audit them and they're going to bankrupt us with fiat currency they create and give to themselves to buy up the planet. Bob Chapman's been writing and lecturing and speaking for more than 45 years on this subject. He's an icon fighting this, publishing books 30-plus years ago on the subject. publishing major publications on it. Many others, Ron Paul, for close to 30 years, from the first time he was in Congress as a libertarian, then they kicked him out and he came back later in the early 90s. For 30 years, he's been pushing to just audit the stinking thing, the private Fed. I was called a kook 14 years ago when I would go give speeches at county commissioners about how the Federal Reserve planned to overthrow our country, how they planned to stage terror attacks, to set up a police state that was really for the people. They had to have the police state in place before they rob us, how they were brainwashing the police. We have known of what we speak. So a lot of people now are tuning in going, oh, they're just now talking about the New World Order. No, the mainstream media is starting to do that. We've been covering it forever. We were right. And I'm not bragging here. It's not hard once you research globalist documents, once you study. Then it becomes very annoying because this is so elementary to those of us that know it. It's like, how can you people not wake up? How can we let this continue? How can we let these criminals take over our society? How can we let them abolish our Bill of Rights and Constitution? How can we let the nanny state take control of our lives? We're going to talk to Bob Chapman about that in a moment. You can also get a free copy of his newsletter at theinternationalforecaster.com. You can also call a toll-free number on the site and get a free hard copy of it. Or you can subscribe there. But also, Follow the Republic is out, 2 days out. People are making copies of the DVDs. We started mailing them out 2 days before it was released on Wednesday. So a lot of folks got them on Tuesday and Wednesday, even before it was officially out. PrisonPlanet.tv. PrisonPlanet.tv. Record downloads. People sharing it. It has a DivX version. You can burn this regular CD that plays in basically all the new DVD players and quite a few of the old ones. If not, you can go buy a DivX DVD player for like $80. Or even better, a DivX copier. And then just make a copy off your computer and then make copies on the DivX copier or on your computer itself. The point is, this film was made to be seen, made to be viral, made for you to give it to people. You wonder why the dollar's dropping, why the economy's imploding, why your life's getting worse, and why the media is telling you the economy's great? You want to understand what the carbon tax is? You want to understand why Obama wants year-round school? You want to know why your Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts are being recruited by Homeland Security? You want to know why the TV's brainwashing you and your neighbors? Follow the Republic. Follow the Republic. The greatest masterpiece I've ever made. I'm really proud of this, and I'm proud of what you're doing with it. Infowars.com to order it, or toll free 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. Going back to Bob Chapman. Bob, I want to shotgun out news headlines at you, get quick comments, your take on it. Then I want to go to phone calls till 5 minutes in the next hour. Then Daryl Rundis joins us, and then we've got Stuart Rhodes on. But I wanted to first bring up Stuart Rhodes. In fact, do we have those MSNBC clips? They're up on InfoWars, and I'll probably just play them with Rhodes because we're getting short on time. But then it's a catch-22, then I cut him short. They snivel Slimeball, Chris Matthews of Slimeball, the show Slimeball. He gets him on, will not let him talk. I mean, they might let him say half a sentence while they're talking over him. Him and the spokesman of the Southern Poverty Slime Center, that's openly anti-First Amendment, they say basically they're training terrorists to overthrow America. When Stuart Rhodes is a top graduate, former editor of the Law Review at Harvard, Army paratrooper, one of Ron Paul's chief staffers, impeccable record, and they do the 10 basic pledges of, I won't put people in FEMA camps, I won't violate the Bill of Rights and Constitution, I will not confiscate guns from law-abiding citizens. I mean, no one can doubt that I got a guest who's coming on later calling me on air while I'm on air, and I'd forgotten to turn my cell phone off. Even though I just turned the phone off, it's still ringing. Always nice. Every once in a while, I forget to turn this iPhone off. Okay, got distracted there. The point here that I was trying to make is they are really afraid of this organization. They're afraid of military and police having it pointed out. But to hear them say there's no threat from the military against the people, when NLE 09 and all these mainstream articles about how they want to use foreign troops to quell domestic disturbances officially, not just drills I've been to, officially. Official legislation for FEMA camps, official congressional reports on FEMA camps, admissions, Homeland Security, the MIAC report saying Ron Paul supporters are terrorists, libertarians are terrorists, Bob Barr supporters are terrorists, gun owners, veterans are the number one threat. I mean, but it was more desperation from Potok and Chris Slimeball Matthews. But it really made me mad to see what they did. You're a veteran of intelligence. I think this is the silver bullet, and we've always known this, but the police and military, because they don't create lists at Oath Keepers. People go, oh, they want a list of who the Patriots are. COINTELPRO puts that. No, they're not even making lists. They're just saying you pledge and getting the idea out and having big, huge meetings where people swear themselves in and say, I'm going to follow my oath. It's clean, it's healthy, it's good, it's as Americana as it gets, and the establishment's trying to demonize it. Bob Chapman.
I saw the interview, and verbally, the gentleman wasn't a street fighter.